Thank you for joining us on our fourth episode of Chats with Black-Owned Businesses. This is Vidith, your host. Today we talk to Krystal Lexima, the Black female owner of Bridges Behavioral Therapy and soon to be mom of two. With a diverse team, including Black and Hispanic working professionals, Bridges Behavioral Therapy collaborates with families, teachers, and other clinicians to ensure and encourage children with autism and related disabilities to exceed their fullest potential. We discuss with Krystal what sparked the idea of entrepreneurship for her and how mentorship and outsourcing plays a vital role in scaling her business up. Through her ownership of Bridges Behavioral Therapy, she's been able to employ board-certified behavior analysts and registered behavior technicians of color. She is creating jobs and mentorship opportunities that will hopefully inspire working professionals of color to do the same. Thank you so much, Krystal, for doing this interview with us. You guys, she's an amazing mom, amazing girl boss, entrepreneur. Go ahead and reintroduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your business, how long you've been in business for.
I'm Krystal Lexima, and I am a mom. I have a very busy 3-year-old toddler, and I'm also 8 months pregnant, due September 25th. So, exciting.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, right around the corner. So I am a business owner. I started Bridges Behavioral Therapy formally last May. I took that jump last January, but I took about 5 minutes to kind of gather everything together and organize and plan, strategize. So May 15th, I want to say it was the first day that I started my first client. So since then, it's been quite a roller coaster because, as you know, coronavirus came and hit hard this year.
Yes.
And so our field, we work with children who are developmentally delayed. More specifically, I work with kids on the autism spectrum with Fragile X syndrome, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. So even some kids who are just speech delayed. So being in this field requires us to be face-to-face and provide our service direct. And so with coronavirus, we did close for about 3 months this year, just trying to get everything on track. And, you know, we're in South Florida, which is apparently now the new epicenter. So just trying to roll with the punches that the universe is throwing our way. But it's definitely been a fun journey, and I'm excited to talk more about it with you.
Awesome. And are you guys going to be starting to see any more clients in the near future? Or are you going to try to do anything virtual?
So we do both. We reopened in July. We closed for all of March, April, and May. And then in June, we were kind of just like playing it by ear, but we opened mid-June.
How did you get started in starting your business?
Yeah, of course. I did not want to be an entrepreneur. At no point in my career did I ever say, like, you know what, I am going to take this to the next level and I'm going to own my own business. So backtrack a little bit. So with my field, to become, I'm a board certified behavior analyst. And what we do is we create behavioral programs for the children of the population that I was discussing earlier, to increase skills. So we work on like home life, daily living skills, communication, imitation goals, you name it, all while trying to decrease some of the more problematic behavior. So any type of behavior that can impede their ability to learn. So that could be the more stereotypical of, like, you know, the hand flapping that you think of when you think of autism. It could be, you know, kids like spinning around in circles. So with me, I went back, I did my master's. I went to UCF in Orlando for speech disorders, and that was my bachelor's degree. Then I moved back home to South Florida, did my master's, and I'm working in the field all the while as a therapist, and I was loving it. Once I became an analyst, I became a director of a special needs clinic. Okay. And that was a lot of fun. I loved it. Like, that was like, in my mind, that was like where I was going to stop, you know, like I was going to be a director of a special needs clinic. And that was just going to be my 9 to 5. It was going to be a great job. I wouldn't have to worry about great benefits. And then my dad and my husband, who at the time was my boyfriend, were both just kind of in my ear. Like, you got it. Like, you've got the personality. You should do it. Like, you're so young. Like, take advantage of your time now. I think my dad would always say, take advantage of your energy. He was like, you're young. You know, you can do this. Still in one ear, out the other. I was still working my 9 to 5s. And then finally 2018, husband was like, you're going to do this. And I want you to put a time frame on when you're going to do it. And he kind of like put me in the corner there, and I had to put a date. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on this day. So we had agreed January 2019. And from that point on, was kind of where we went with that.
Wow. Congratulations. Amazing that you actually went for it. So how has it been being an entrepreneur and actually taking that big leap? What's the change from being a 9 to 5? Like, what are some things that you wish you would have known before starting, and some, positive things of actually being a business owner?
So honestly, I feel like my first advice to anybody who is going to take that leap from 9 to 5 to business owner is find a mentor. Find someone that who's done it before, field specific, because I realize that's the part that's really, really crucial to success, is someone who is in your field, who's had to walk the exact steps you're going to have to walk. Someone who's not afraid to share their resources, because that's another thing with entrepreneurship that I realized is that not everybody is open to sharing their resources. So that me having a mentor, or me having previous bosses that were business owners that were willing to share their experiences with me, I feel like made that transition a little bit easier.
Nice.
So I actually stayed working while opening up my company.
Smart.
So yeah, I did that for about 6 months, where I was working 35 hours a week. And then on the side is where I would do, we're in a health field, so we have to kind of get in network with all of the major insurance companies and all that. So that takes time. Worked while that was all in process. I did not hire anyone until this year. So this year was when I hired like my first staff. It was around February of this year.
Okay.
So think about May of last year until February of this year, I did all of the direct service myself. So I worked with the clients directly. I was also my own admin person. I had to figure out how to bill the insurance companies. I had to figure out what went wrong if the claim was denied, all while not being late to pick my kid up from daycare. So there were times, I'd pull up in the parking lot like 10 minutes before closing, and I'm still in the parking lot because I'm like, this is 10 minutes that I could get a phone call in. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting transition, but I don't think that I would have been able to do it as fast and as smoothly as I did without having some type of mentorship.
That's awesome. And that's honestly true. I think a lot of times, like, we forget the importance of, mentorship and actually working in the field in general. Sometimes like we want to plunge right in and, start a business, and that's not to deter anyone, but especially when it comes to something being field specific, I don't see something being wrong with you actually having a 9 to 5 within the industry
Right.
that you're looking to, work in. And honestly, you said you had to do multiple things like admin, billing, the insurance. Like, those are things that I feel like it would be harder for you to do if you didn't have the experience of working for someone else within that same industry and still have that person there for you to reach out to, say, hey, so I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. So how do I do
100%.
it?
And what's really funny is that I see a lot of times, we have a lot of Facebook groups for people in our field. And just yesterday, someone posted, hey, I just became a BCBA, and I want to know, how soon after did you guys become board certified? Did you start your own business? And always trying to comment on these posts to let them know, like, take your time. Things like this, you want to be able to get your feet wet. You want to be able to understand the field a little bit, building connections, even with families. Like, if you work at a place for 4 or 5 years and you've got families that are dedicated to you, they're going to refer people. So in 4 years, when you start your own business, they're going to say, listen, I worked with this person for 3 years. She helped my son do this, this, and this, contact information. So I feel like that's helped a lot too, just like you said.
And if we can just back up a little bit, I want you to be able to just share a little bit about your childhood and what it was like. What did you see or didn't see that shaped your idea of building wealth and entrepreneurship? So you said you never thought that you would start a business. So what kind of, if you can give us a little bit about your background so we can actually be able to relate to that.
Yeah, of course. So I am the product of Jamaican immigrants. So my parents came here from Jamaica. I was born here, but being raised by immigrants in America is a very different experience. And so for me, my vision of success and my vision of wealth was always education. Like always pushed to, like, you go to school, you get good grades, Johnny and Sue and all these other kids are out there running the streets. You say you're behind inside, studying, you're gonna get those A's. And it was kind of like the outcome was to go to college. And even when it came to college, it was always, you're going to choose from specific field. Like, you're not going to go to school and then just come out with like some communications degree. No knock on communications degrees, but Caribbean families are very big on like the health field. You're going to be a nurse, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer. And so that was always my idea of how I was going to get to be successful, which is why I say 9 to 5 and being a director, that was my goal.
Yeah, you made it. You did.
I made it. I have my master's degree. I specialize in autism. Like I have all of the credentials to back my name. And now I have a cushy office and I run a clinic. Like, this is great. I got health insurance, got 401k. But then, like I said, my dad, even though he was so big on education, I think he was like, okay, well, you're 20. At the time, I think I was 26 and I had already been director for almost 2 years. And so my dad's like, all right, cool. So what's the next step? Dad, like, I thought this was the last step. Like, this was all you ever wanted from me. But again, he kept pushing. You're young. You have the energy. You have the drive. Like, take advantage of your youth now so that you can all the benefits when you're older.
Hands down to him for actually pushing you to take that initiative, because honestly, for us to like move forward to actually build wealth, it's not just with education that we're living within the Black community. Ownership is so important. Huge. And I feel like you actually own your own business. Now you have ownership in your skills, in your experience. And what you bring to the table, and you're creating a table yourself instead of trying to fit in somebody else's table.
I think ownership too allows you to kind of tap into that generational wealth. That's something that we as Black Americans, we start late. We've all started late in the game of generational wealth. Yes. A lot of times you have friends who are from different backgrounds, different races, and you hear like, oh, we're going to our home in the mountains. And you ask a question about this home in the mountains, and it was their great-great-grandfather's home in the mountains.
Yes.
My great-great-grandfather was a slave on some cotton field. It's very different, So I feel like when you have ownership, you have just a little piece of something to pass on to the next generation.
Yes.
Even if my children don't go into the health field and I don't end up passing this on, I have two options. I can have them, choose to still take ownership of it, and they just take like that CEO role, hire clinicians to do it, or they have the option to sell and cash out,
Exactly.
Like they can do something with this that I built. So
exactly. And I think that's also important too, because a lot of people, they also think, is my children going to actually be interested in what I'm doing, this, that, and the third. And it's very important to think about that. You can always, they can always cash out or just hold the business and
hire some, hold the business and knows how to run it.
Exactly. So what inspires you and your hustle?
Ooh, my lifestyle. I like nice things.
Speak on it.
Yeah, I know. I feel like the answer should have been my kids, my family, and whatnot.
No, that's the answer. I like your answer, because the funny thing is I know a lot of people that they're the same, where they feel like, it's their lifestyle that really fuels it. So speak on it for us.
I love to travel. So traveling is something that I feel like my husband is very big in history. So he loves like historical facts and just kind of going to museums and spending hours lecturing us about every single picture and sculpture and monuments. But it's something we do together. I may not be listening 100% of the time, but it's something that we're doing together. No, but traveling is something that, ever since we started dating, we always tried to do. We tried to just, whether it were domestic trips here in the US, just hopping over to Mexico or Jamaica. We really wanted to travel. And now that we've started a family, we've wanted to have our children in that experience. A lot of people think, it's so difficult to travel with children and this. I mean, it's an extra step, but it's still something that's fun as a family.
Yes.
We took our first real family trip last year, and we went to Europe, and my son was 2 at the time.
Yes.
And it was so much fun. I mean, it was amazing, seeing him in different cities. I know when we went to Paris, and by day 2, if someone gave him his apple juice at a restaurant, we would say, "What do you say?" And he'd say, "Missy." It was cute, to see him pick up on the language.
Yes.
It was really cool. It was a very eye-opening experience for us. So I think that is definitely something that pushes me, is that I really want to continue to have those memories with my children and my husband, of just traveling wherever we can. Again, it could be domestic or it could be international, but I think that it's really important to be able to have that opportunity to travel together.
Yeah, I honestly feel like traveling for Black people it's a must. It's crazy because honestly, when you think about certain things, it's normal for other cultures, but
it is
for us, everything we do is a political statement. But as far as traveling, I think it's so important for other people to see us, people of women, families of color, to see us travel, because one, it lets us know that there's a world outside of where you're from. For the longest, being in South Florida, being in a Black neighborhood, I could swear that all of America looked like this. It's just, a whole bunch of Hispanics, Black people, we're here, we're in this, but no.
You know what? I love that you mentioned that we as Black people need to do it more, because I find it so, eye-opening when we went to, we went to Rome. When we went to Rome, my husband and I went on our honeymoon, and people were so shocked to see us.
Mm-hmm.
It was their reaction to us there was mind-blowing. Everybody would stop, they'd look up, they'd look at us for a couple of seconds, and they'd go back to their food, or it was very interesting to see. And I mean, we were one of few, us Black people there. I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, I feel like Black people need to realize, one, it's attainable, especially when you grow up lower income, or even of just parents of immigrants that are, working in that hustle. You think it's not attainable. You think you see people going on trips. You're in elementary, middle school, and you've got white friends that are every week we go here, Lake Tahoe for the week, or wherever, every summer, or they have spring break trips they take every year, just little things like that. So we grow up thinking oh my gosh, you have to really, really make it to be doing these types of things. But it's really attainable. It's a matter of seeking.
I was speaking to somebody about that, and the backhanded, I wouldn't even say a compliment, is that he was just oh, so traveling is very affordable now. Found out that my husband was Black, and this Black family, and he's just you guys travel, and he's just oh, traveling must be super affordable now.
Oh my!
And I was just it actually is though. But yeah, I think it's honestly it's important for you. It's important for the kids, because it opens your mindset. It creates opportunities for new thoughts or new ways that you can better yourself, better your business, and you never know what will come from a trip.
Yeah.
And who would you like to thank for getting you to where you are today in your business?
I would say my parents, obviously, my husband, who really is the one who pushed me back against the wall, you're gonna do this, you have potential, do it now. And I have an aunt that growing up, whenever my mom kind of didn't have the cojones to tell me something or set me straight, she always called her to call me. And so there's a lot of situations that I go through in life that I hear her voice. So I guess I'd thank her too. Even in college, I slipped up one semester, lost all my scholarships, everything. And she came through, paid for my tuition that whole semester. She really helped out. So I would also say her as well.
That's what's up. Is there any tips that you have?
Okay. Well, I didn't know anything about accounting. I didn't know anything about finances. And so one of my family members, my uncle, has a business, has had a business for decades. He referred me to his accountant. And so what she was saying, because I was doing everything backwards, I had my business bank account, but I was really just like, all the money was going to my personal account, and I was transferring it to my business as like a saving for my business kind of thing.
Yes.
So when tax season rolled around, it was a hot mess. But basically how she set me up was she was explaining the whole revenue minus expenses or profits, and you're only taxing profits at the end of the year.
Yes.
And so I didn't have a set payroll for myself. I didn't pay myself. I still, till this day, don't really pay myself.
But that's the life of a business owner, though. That's the life crazy.
And I think that's what people need to understand. That's the life of a business owner, because, you know, going back to last year, so now that was my first business tax year. She's like, okay, well, we need your stuff, like your W-2. And I was like, I have a W-2. You know, for the first half of the year, I worked for somebody, and I worked, you know, as a contractor. So I have my 1099 and started seeing clients myself, and all of the insurance was paying paying me, because I was a provider. So they were paying and then I was just transferring all the money. And then if, like, you know, we were ever short on a bill or something, I'd have to transfer it back to the personal account. But she was explaining that you can't do that with a business. So I had to pretty much give myself a set number that I would give myself every pay period. And then from there, she would tax me based off of that. But it was definitely a learning curve. The whole financial aspect of it was eye-opening. Like, it was mind-blowing, all the things I was doing incorrectly.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the reason I wanted you to share that with us, because honestly, a lot of times there is so many things that we do wrong financially. Yeah. You have the big idea, you know what you're good at, but the finance side, like that, you didn't go to school for that. You didn't learn that. So, you know, having a professional, and even if you could speak on that, on how important it is to have a professional by your side.
Super important. We as a culture are very big on, you know, like who could give you that quick hookup real quick kind of thing. And so a lot of times it works because who you're to is very skilled and they know what they're doing. They've been doing it for years. With this particular scenario for me, I didn't have anybody that I knew, specifically for businesses at the time, not anyone that I knew closely, at least. Yeah. And so I turned to my husband's uncle, who was kind enough to give me like his contact information. But that accounting firm took the time to teach me. So as they were doing my taxes and as they were asking for specific forms, they said, listen, you have to do it this way because A, B, and C. Even when it came time to growing my business, like having to pay, you know, employment tax and unemployment tax, all of these things that we have to pay as a business owner, I wasn't prepared for mentally. Luckily, again, I had been working simultaneously while building my business, so I was able to financially prepare for, in addition to my husband actually, he put aside a lump sum for us to start the business. So that was definitely really helpful as well. So we were able to kind of dibble and dabble in that lump sum of money that we had put aside for the business to start. But definitely, I highly, highly recommend getting a professional and someone who specializes in businesses, because taxes are completely different. I mean, I'm an LLC, but I know that in a lot of cases, you know, if you're a corporation, they can kind of tap into your personal funds. They can put a lien on your home. A lot of things like that I didn't know until I started and really started, you know, learning some more about it.
Nice. And was she the one who kind of told you to become an LLC? Because I know you said first she was just a contractor.
Yeah, so that I actually always knew. So in our field, they tell you that once you become board certified to just have an LLC on deck in case you choose to be a contractor, because a contractor position is so common for us. As a contractor, as you know, if you don't pay taxes aren't taken out of your check. So at the end of the year, you're responsible for paying your taxes, or ideally you're already paying them quarterly. However, if you have an LLC, then you are able to do that whole revenue minus expenses. And then it's even better because when you're writing off your mileage, when you're writing off your tolls, when you're writing off all those things, it's a real write-off. As a 1099, just as an individual, I experienced none of those write-offs put a dent in how much I owed. Like even when I was on, what's that tax? TurboTax. Even when I would do TurboTax as like a contractor when I was like 23, 24, I would be putting in all the miles I drove. I would put in all the gas, all my oil changes, and that number on the right would not move. Like I still owed. And I found out it's because I wasn't an LLC. Should I have been an LLC, then I would have been able to really reap the benefits of those tax write-offs.
Thank you for sharing that with us, because a lot of people, they get really scared to actually do that whole transition of becoming transitioning from contractor to a business owner. Oh, I'm a business owner, I'm not an entrepreneur. But at the end of the day, like this is how a lot of people are getting ahead, is becoming, you know, an actual corporation, a business. It doesn't so much change the way you do certain things. It just allows you to reap the benefits that businesses in the US get. So it is important. It really is important to actually try to incorporate or become a business as soon as.
And I'd love to give a quick example on that with the recent situation with COVID-19, when doing the small business loan. My banking institution, Wells Fargo, actually sent me an application in case I was interested in using it. And I noticed that on there, even if you were an individual, but an LLC, just a sole proprietor, you still qualified for that small business loan, which I thought was very interesting. So like that goes to show the opportunities that are out there, because if you are an individual and you're just yourself and you're just a 1099 contractor versus a sole proprietorship where you can access a lot of these benefits, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference.
Yes, that was one thing that we realized, like as soon as like COVID hit, all of this stuff was happening and everybody's wondering, like, you know, have their own business or their contractor. What am I going to do? Where I'm going to get money from if, you know, this ends up kind of like messing with my finances. It felt like we were already covered. Like our account hit us right off bat with an email talking about, okay, this is all the things that apply to you as a small business. And it's just like, whoa. So it does benefit to be a business owner. Favorite memory as a business owner?
All right. My favorite memory as a business owner. So I'd say, okay, so there was a time when, again, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And for like 5-6 months, I wasn't getting paid from one of the insurance companies for one of my clients. I still saw them because, you know, ethics, and I care for my families and I care for my kids. So I'm not going to interrupt services for that. But like the insurance company just kept denying. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. And so that's what prompted me to get a professional to help me with billing. But I just remember the day that the check from the insurance company came in the mail. And my husband, I like ran in the house. I was like, we got paid, baby. Because I mean, it was like thousands of dollars that I was just like losing out on. And when that check came in, man, that was a great moment. Like it was almost like it was reinforcement for me. It was like, Krystal should have been hired this woman to do her craft. That's what it was kind of like for me, but it was a great moment.
Thank you for sharing that. We do not want to spend the money to pay professionals, but we don't understand what we're losing out. We're losing out so much money.
That was a thing that my mentor in this whole process taught me. Her name's Nicole, and she had stepped out and done her own business. And I was just so in awe of how fast everything came together. And I'll never forget, one night she texted me and she said, and by the way, just, you need to outsource. Like, don't be shy. Don't be afraid to outsource. And so she gave me all her contacts for everything and said, just reach out to them. The billing specialist that I have is actually someone she gave me the information for.
Nice.
I'm very thankful. Very, very thankful. It hurts in the beginning. You're paying monthly for like all of these things. Like, you know, like you're paying monthly for your phone, and you're, you know, these days, I can't even believe insurance companies still require faxes, but no one has a fax machine. So like I pay for like a virtual fax machine thing. And, you know, it's all these little things that like, I just didn't expect to pay and don't want to pay because I'm cheap when it comes to those things. But I realized the importance, you know, like I practice practice management software where it holds all of my clients' information, all the documents that I sync to it. It's where my therapists take data collection. It's literally my one-stop shop. And a lot of people are still doing things paper because they want to avoid having to spend a couple $100s a month for something like that.
Is there any business professionals that you're using that are of color?
Business professionals that I use that are of color, I don't think there are any that are Black, to be honest with you. The practice management software, it was founded by a group of guys who I believe their background is Indian. Their family is from India.
It's still okay.
Yeah, right.
Black, not Black.
But that's the only one. I do have a neighbor that does taxes, and she does, I want to say she does business tax as well, but we're going to use her this year for our personal taxes.
Okay, nice. Let us know how that goes out.
Yeah, we'll use her.
Are there any ways that you're thinking of maybe trying to use Black business owners in the future?
Oh my God, I would love to. I'm all for supporting Black business. I would love to. My field is so, it's not as large as other fields. So right now it's so, the scope is not wide in terms of you can use. I can maybe count on one hand the amount of practice management softwares that are out there for our field in particular, but I would love to. I mean, I think the key is trying to go, I mean, now with COVID, but trying to go to a lot of Black meetups.
Nice.
That was our 2020 goal for both my husband and I. We're both business owners, him in tech and me in the health field. And so we really wanted to branch out. After we saw an article, funny enough, we live in Palm Beach County, and we saw an article about like young entrepreneurs in tech or something like that. And it came out here in like the Palm Beach Post or one of those local papers. Nice. And not a single person was of color, not even Spanish. And they were highlighting, I want to say like 10, 15 people in Palm Beach County, and not a single person was Black or Spanish.
Wow.
I thought was very interesting. So when that article came out late last year, my husband and I had said, this year, we're going to try to make it a point to go to some of these meetups, because in the article they were saying like, you know, this person attends this tech meetup and this person is the founder of this meetup. So we really wanted this year to be about that, as well as mentorship. I think that it's really huge to go to inner city schools and Boys and Girls Club, YMCAs that are in the inner city, just so that they could see a familiar face. They can see someone, representation matters, and they can see someone like them that's doing the things that they think they want to do, or having the things that they think they want to have, just kind of speaking to them on a more personal level, letting them know that it's attainable, it's possible.
Even if it's not being able to hire people of color, are you thinking about maybe even doing some type of mentorship opportunities for people of color within your business? Is there space for that?
I would really love to do some type of mentorship program within my business. I think that's really important, like I said, to have some type of representation. I think growing up, I didn't have that. I was in a lot of schools where I was a small percentage of Black people. I didn't have many Black educators. So now even raising our own family, I'm always telling my husband how important it is. I would love to have a Black principal at my kid's school. I would love to have Black teachers at my kid's school, because representation matters. So I would love to go into the community, even if it's just giving back and has nothing to do with the service that I offer. I would still give back somehow, and make a presence, whether it's, you know, financially, like donate to some of the local Black businesses or along those lines.
Yeah. And I think honestly, the same way that you were able to learn from your mentor, even though she wasn't Black, it doesn't matter where you get that mentorship, just being able to learn from somebody else, I think is super important. So even if you just did like 1 or 2 mentorships, that is huge. That is huge, because someone is seeing someone that looks like them, you know, start a business, successfully run a business, and being able to have someone that they can confide in and find out, you know, just things that are super important for their growth and the growth of their business. So I think even just being able to do that is huge in itself. You said that you guys are planning to scale up to grow. So if you can give us a little, from what point did you start having it grow, like acquiring more clients, and what do you want in the future for your business?
Yeah, of course. So as you know, I started doing everything on my own direct. At that time, I think I had a max of 4 clients that I was working with direct, in addition to the 6 that I was seeing as a contractor with another company, which is not a heavy caseload in our field. It was just heavy because I was doing the direct for 4 of them and not kind of overseeing the case as you normally would. And then I want to say it was around the holidays last year that I started to get more clients that were interested. It was all word of mouth. I didn't have a live website. I didn't have a Facebook page that was public. I mean, I had those things on the back end, just waiting to be, but I didn't, announce them yet. And so it was really just word of mouth, to be completely honest with you. It wasn't until maybe 2 weeks ago I put out my first marketing post.
Nice.
Yeah. We've really done very well in terms of just kind of clients telling other clients. I was able to grow and have, instead of it just being me, myself doing everything, I am now at, I've got 4 therapists and 2 other analysts.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah. That is amazing.
So I've got 2 analysts, 4 therapists. And so, it's really cool to see how everything is just like a snowball effect. Like once things get going, they just get going. So it's very important to pace yourself. So that's one thing that I learned, not from a mentor, but just from working with other companies and kind of seeing how, when they grew and how things got out of hand, if you will.
Yeah.
How quickly they got out of hand too. So it was really important to me, even when I hired my first staff member. She asked me, like, what is your vision? Like, are you expanding? Like, are you trying to be like those companies that are international, or like, and I said, you know what? I'm not there yet, but my short-term goal is I just want to perfect the craft before, because like I said, that was one of the downsides to a lot of the companies that I had worked for in the past. Like they just saw how easy things got going, did get going, that they didn't put any type of limitations to things. They just let it kind of go crazy. So that's just one thing, like when it comes to scaling, that I'm trying to be better at, in terms of like in comparison to what I saw out there in the field.
And as far as with your employees, how did you actually scale? That's crazy that you actually have 4 therapists?
Yep. So I've got 4 therapists, and then I have 2 behavior analysts. So our field is very similar to like, a physical therapist with a physical therapy assistant, or like a nurse to the doctor kind of thing, or a nurse to a PA. So the therapists go in and they do the direct service. So they're with the client sometimes 20 to 30 hours each week.
Wow.
Where the therapist only goes in 20% of the time to supervise, the analyst, goes in 20% of the time to supervise the therapist with the client.
When it comes to acquiring actual employees, how did you find these therapists that because it's really hard to kind of like share your baby with other people.
Hires were people that I knew and trust.
Nice.
So I had one therapist that I had worked with at another company, who didn't have the best experience, and I was able to see firsthand how she was, unfairly treated. So around the holidays, I told her, hey, look, I'm going to start looking to hire come January. Like, if this is something you want, I got you, because I see what's going down. And so, she was like, yeah, I'd love to. She went on vacation with her family. She came back and she signed the paperwork so quick. So it was nice to have someone that, like that, like, again, I trusted. I worked with her. I saw her work ethic. And even in the times when people, were treating her unfairly, she kind of went along and did what she had to do professionally. So I appreciated that. So I hired her. And then another one was someone that I knew. She was actually a former teacher of my son's at daycare.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I loved her work ethic, and she was looking for something new. And so I hired her. And so it was just us 3 stooges for a while there. Yep.
And do you have any employees that are of color?
I do. Yeah, I do. So I don't know that I have any white employees. I do. I have one. I'm just kidding.
No, it's not.
I have a great mix actually now that I think
Nice.
about it.
Okay, tell us about your team.
I've got Black, Latina, and white, and then of course me, Black. But yes, we've got a really diverse group. I think that it's also very important to show representation in our field, because we work with a lot of clients that are Black and Spanish. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very welcoming for them when they get to see therapists come in or staff come in that represent their family. You know, it's a very welcoming, calming feeling. I've had feedback from parents where they're like, you know, so-and-so just feels like part of the family. Like we're both from Cuba, or we're both from this, or we both speak Creole, or, you know, like it's a different feeling. And because our field, we're required to be in the homes so much. I'm talking like, I've got kids that have us in their home for 35 hours a week. Like we are basically part of the family. So I think it's really important to have representation even in that aspect. Nice. And even if we don't have representation, having that knowledge base, like teaching your staff about different cultures, teaching your staff about cultural norms, you know, just little things like that. Like if a parent is coming up to you to give you a hug and you're not really a huggy person, we'll just understand that where they come from is disrespectful. Mm-hmm. If they go in to give you a hug or a little cheek kiss or something like that, and you're like, whoa, back up. So yeah, even if it's not representation, just knowledge, information, being educated on the different cultures out there.
Nice. Thank you so much.
There was a lot of good takeaways from this episode. Here are some of the great takeaways from the episode. Number 1, find a mentor who is field specific that has the time to pour into you and your career. The best mentorships are the ones where you establish and provide value for your mentor. Let's face it, if your potential mentor is successful, chances are the individual is extremely busy. You are one of the many people looking to benefit from that individual's time. So how can you help that individual make time out of their busy schedule to help you? Number 2, take your time. It isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You want to be well equipped for this journey into entrepreneurship. Learn as much as you can, build great relationships with everyone around you, from your employers, cohorts, and clients. Number 3, do not be afraid to spend the necessary funds to outsource working professionals. It will make you more money in the long run. So whatever it costs, spend it once your business is established and can afford to do so. Number 4, through the guidance of a certified public accountant, incorporate your business to reap the tax benefits of being a business. Number 5, always try to think of how you can incorporate other Black-owned businesses or services into the daily functions of your business. It can be as small as buying Black-owned cleaning supplies for your offices, or as big as hiring a Black certified public accountant. That's all, folks. Until next time.